Hey everyone, Value Add Mike here today to discuss how we are recession-proofing our portfolio and looking at acquisitions moving forward. For those who don't know, my name is Mike Taravella, Value Add Mike, and me and my business partners manage over $100 million in commercial real estate, specifically in the multifamily sector. And today I wanted to share how we're looking at the recession that's going ahead, and I personally think we're in it. And so I wanted to share for our investors and listeners out there what we're looking at with our portfolio and new acquisitions. So first, when we're looking at our portfolio, we're assessing the pains in our butts because if it's operations, is it maintenance, is it vintage? That's the problem. Because anything that has been a pain in the butt, we've added a ton of value because of just holding it for a long time. But we're looking at our assets and going, do we want to hold these for 10 years? And if you don't want to hold for 10 years, we're really analyzing a potential sale. And so I think for all of those who are LPs, I think it's a very key piece to look at it and go, do we want to sell these assets given the run-up in valuations? It's still a good time to sell. I think there's a lot of market that's saying, hey, this could be bad timing. But with the tenure at 3.7, still relatively low interest rate, you can even do loan assumptions if you have long enough financing windows with low interest rates. Because buyers are looking, including ourselves, are looking at low leverage deals because we want to make sure we're hitting singles and doubles with our investments. So when it comes to the pain in the butt, really just think, do we want to hold these for the next 10 years? Because if not, start having those conversations with brokers so that they can have time to market and go through that process. But for the assets we're keeping and going through, we're really assessing the debt. And so I think from that point is we're looking at the deals that we added a tremendous amount of value or had a lot of appreciation based on location, and just looking at those and going, okay, how much time do we have until the next refinances? And so we're looking at deals that we bought a year, 2 years ago or longer, and just looking at the deals and going, hey, let's assess a refinance by going into long-term fixed-rate financing with agency. So like I said, the 10-year being at 3.7, we're looking at rates in the mid-5s, but we're also looking at having much lower leverage, so they call that a Tier 4 loan, so it's 55% loan-to-value, having 10 years of interest only, and then which helps our cash flow for the long term, and we have a tax-free liquidity event, which because it's a refinance, there's no taxes, so we get to return capital. We get fixed rate financing, which I know is the buzzword around all real estate ventures now, and with non-recourse debt. So we're getting stuff off our personal books and getting them to the agency lenders. So that's on our existing portfolio. I think it just really is a analysis of what do you want to be holding for the next 10 years, because in the recession, we want to really just be thinking, what do we want to be holding, what assets are looking at and going forward. So, the assessment of sale and refinance. But then I think moving forward with acquisitions, because I know there's a lot of people saying the world's going to end, there's no more good deals, sitting on the sidelines. And I think the most important thing is there's still deals to be had. We've seen a lot of mom and pop, just very rough deals. And so we want to make sure that we're looking at broker deals. We're still calling brokers. We're still assessing deals that are on market. There's still some values, but there could be a difference in valuations, and that's fine. But we're submitting offers and following up. And then even on those deals, we're calling a ton of community banks. We're even looking at creative ways so we can go right into perm. So if it's a new build, we're looking at trying to do a master lease option so we can get under contract, lease up the units, and then go right to agency, because where we are with agency debt, I think it's still a good opportunity to buy, especially non-recourse. So that's just a huge component as well. So low levered, creative financing is an option. Like I said, in previous videos, we don't like to lead with creative financing because it muddies the water and there's just a lot of resources on it. And talking to brokers, they're like, we get it. You listened to a podcast before about it. But we like to present, here's our debt quotes, here's our property management quotes, because even if we're not buying the deal, we're adding value to the broker and the buyer by just having all the stuff as resources for to help the broker. So on the acquisition side, we're doing that. And other than that, I think we're really, for acquisitions, we're really assessing vendors. So who do we think the property management groups that aren't going to be around the next 3 to 5 years? because Matt King of GoBundance, the CEO of GoBundance and leads a family office, he said, which vendors are critical to your business, and really do you think are going to, if they go under, what risk does that put you in? And so we're assessing vendors like property managers, small community banks. We're looking at flooring companies and just construction crews, because if they go under, that has a ripple effect for pricing and everything else going on. And so we're just really assessing, do we think these operators will last? If not, let's get some opportunities. And like I said, we're still going with brokers because we want to make sure we're top of mind and make sure we're not taking from the brokers. And so that's just a really critical piece. So that's what we're doing for our portfolio. Make sure if this video gave you any value, like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to the investor list and where we get our deal announcements and investor updates. And until then, we'll see you next time.